Great stuff. Okay, so we have John. John from Montreal, Canada. Hey, John, great to see you again. Thank you for joining us. John works on an analytics platform for software affiliates in the gaming sector. Right, John?
Gaming for now, but it will be affiliate marketing in general at some point.
Fantastic. Okay, land and expand, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's John. It's called Stats Drone, if anyone interested. Stats aggregator for business intelligence. Kunal from mailmodo.com in India. Thanks for joining, Kunal. Sounds like a CRM, kind of email-based CRM.
It's more like AMP emails, but yes.
Like what?
Interactive emails, AMP emails, basically.
Okay, perfect. Great stuff. Okay, Dennis from Dallas, deposit fix payments for HubSpot CRM. Hey, cool. Okay, just catching up. Well, there's quite a few comments in here now, so I'll get to them. Steve, tech product manager, Commerce Decisions, which is a procurement evaluation software. We've also got Daryl from StatsDrone in Canada. Faraya from Time Tackle, calendaring intelligence. Hey, that sounds useful. We use a lot of calendar and timer apps in UserActive. Luke from Bournemouth, fellow Brit, pdfbutler.com, Jen for signature, .gen and e-signature built on Salesforce. Okay, cool. Okay, so you have a we've been working with a couple of SaaS companies who call this coattailing, building a product that integrates with one of the big SaaS, and you ride the coattails of that product and you expand that way. You get users, acquire users through them with a good integration. That's fairly common. Carl Busby, based in London, working for Finder. Hey, that's familiar. I've heard of Finder. We help businesses to match with each other. Is this an app a bit like a dating app where you are interested and you swipe and you get to connect with people to network with or other businesses?
Yeah, that's pretty much. That's what we get described as quite a lot, like a sort of dating platform for businesses. So yeah.
Cool. Now that you mention that, I used it. I've tried it before. It was really cool. Met quite a few people in the industry just chatting through the app. So that's a neat idea. Okay, well, lovely to hear from you all and hear what you're working on. As we go through this, I'd encourage you to think about your problems or issues that you have with expansion, and feel free to ask questions at any time and share your thoughts. So we like to keep this informal, collaborative, but I have slides to work through, so we'll go through that. And I'd love to use any of your current situations as talking points as we go through. So let's get started, shall we? How to drive upgrades and account expansion. So we've done a welcome, got a good idea of who's here, nice group. We also have an offer. So Sarah from UserActive, she's here on the call with us. So if you have any questions, you put them in the chat. Sarah will help moderate that. She'll also put a link to this, which is a session to just book a strategy call. If there's something you need to work on or talk through from a product perspective, then we can help, and you're welcome to use this link to go there, and you'll find the Calendly. You can just go ahead and book some time with me where you get to talk through any issues you have. Yeah, Sarah's just put that link in the chat. Thanks for that, Sarah. So feel free to do that. Now, what are we going to look at in this workshop? Okay, so we're going to look at common challenges with account expansion. How can you use your product to get users to upgrade? How do we define expansion? You know, what is it? We're going to think about that a little bit. Then we're going to look at some examples and have a Q&A. In this session, we're a product design consultancy. So we always work on the product, inside the product, designing interactions that are engaging and that drive value for users, but also growth for SaaS platforms. So all of the examples in the discussion we're going to talk about today is based on things you can do inside your product. I always recommend and suggest that this is complemented by activity you're doing outside your product, email campaigns, customer success, anything like this, but we'll focus on in product interactions. So expansion challenges. Does anyone have any issues or difficulty with growing sales with your existing customer base at the moment? Has anyone got something that you're working on, something that you've been trying to resolve? You know, how to get your customers to either buy more from you by adding users or upgrading plans or add-ons. Any expansion challenges? It's okay if nothing comes to mind, but looks like John's typing. Feel free to come on mic as well if you want to talk through anything. Yeah, good point, John. And I imagine other people might feel like this too. So John says it's not really anything specific, just requires more work and getting feedback from users. The feedback is data viz. That feedback is data viz. Do you mean feedback on data visualization inside your platform, or do you mean feedback's going to inform how you shape expansion or how you work on it?
Yeah, it's just yeah, we've got an app that gives affiliates large data or large tables of data, and it's kind of overwhelming. And basically, for them to take any insights, they really need some basic data viz. And we have a competitor. We've had a couple of customers saying, you know what, we'd be happy paying their more expensive price with your app if you had at least these basic ones, and if you add a couple more, yeah, they're literally telling us what's going to be impactful for them.
Oh, great! Hey, that's pretty powerful. So that can shape the product itself as well as then, you know, when you get clearer on what they really value, it also gives you an idea on how to segment features up, you know, in terms of your plans and how you break it up in terms of usage. Still a few people joining. So Christian's just joining us. Thanks for joining, Christian, if you can hear me. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about 3 common issues here when we talk about expansion. So one of the main things that I hear a lot from companies we work with is that there are just missed opportunities. So you have this powerful product, there's a lot of value in this product, but you don't think you're capturing enough opportunities to enable your customers to get more from their plan, or invite more new additional users, or collaborate in a better way. You're just not promoting it enough. So, you know, this phrase that you hear a lot about leaving money on the table, that's pretty common when we're talking about expansion, because quite often you need to design, if you're doing it within the product, say you have a product-led approach, self-service approach, then really what you're doing is thinking about the flows and how to present these offers to users within the product. So if you're not doing this in the right way that captures their attention and makes them aware of additional value, then often it goes missed, and there's this general feeling of missed opportunities. And in general, it leads to accounts not growing. So it's widely known that it's easier to sell to existing customers than to new users, right? The cost of acquisition has already been incurred. You have a relationship, they're already getting value, so it's easier to sell to existing customers. But if accounts are not growing, then there's obviously a disparity there between either it's not being presented in the right way, or hasn't been packaged in the right way just yet. So that's worth thinking about. Has anyone got plans in their product? Has anyone got this kind of common feeling that you think you could be doing more or selling more to existing customers, but you just either haven't got around to it or not sure how to do that yet? Has anyone got that situation? You can just put a yes in the comment if you do. Or even just tell us how. Yeah, Kunal.
Feels like that's always the case, isn't it? Always think we could sell more, do more.
Yeah, nice, Steve. Yeah, I think that's a pretty common feeling. What can you remind us what it is that your product that you're working on, Steve? Commerce
Yep.
decisions.
Yeah, so we're we deal with e-evaluation, so mainly for large complex projects, so a lot of government projects, large building projects, or those type of things. And yeah, so customers go in bound by quite a lot of regulations, EU type regulations and things like that. So there's certain rules about purchasing large items, certainly if you're government or anything like that. So yeah, so it's customers log in, they create questions, they evaluate, make choices, that sort of thing. So that's what we do.
Do you sell in a kind of enterprise approach, or would you say that you have a product-led approach for that?
It's primarily enterprise, I would say. I think, yeah. I mean, it's not 100%, but
right. Yeah, and it makes it often there are things that you can do in the product to facilitate that sales process, which might just be raising awareness or initiating those discussions to get into those sales conversations. So maybe that's something we can think about as well. So just a few more comments here. Carl says that they're looking at ways of getting additional referrals. Okay, that's really nice. Referrals to other customers, not necessarily referrals to people within their team, I assume. Yeah. And then Christian, a constant feeling of the reason for most workshops and initiatives in CS. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good topic to work on. This is John, VP. You hired a VP of sales, John, to understand what you need to do to get more revenue from existing clients. Great. New designs and advanced features can help with that alone. Help change the narrative. Yeah, and then I think the next step is once you have that, it's then how do you segment these features up into valuable buckets where you can then cross-sell, upsell for your different plans. The third thing I'd comment on is that generally I see that people are not sure of what, how, or when to promote cross-selling and upselling within a SaaS product. From my perspective, it comes very much from the user behavior and user activity in the app. So what we want to think about is two ways to do this: a contextual approach where we serve offers and interactions that promote expansion at the point of the journey at which it's relevant to the user's journey. So they're trying to share something, they're trying to collaborate, or they're trying to add more usage than they currently have in their account. We serve them up an upgrade or a paywall, for instance. The other way to do it is by interrupting the user. So you might release a great new feature, and when you launch that into the product, you might just have a notification that interrupts your user while they're in your platform, and it says, hey, we've got this new premium feature, would you like to check it out now? You can either put them on a free trial for it, or you can ask them to upgrade for it. So those are the two approaches that we suggest and we design for. Kunal, there's another comment from you here, which is easy onboarding, but some accounts aren't sticky enough. Okay. Since we're in an AMP email marketing platform, we do have a lot of initial interest, but we lose some customers when their email sending frequency isn't high enough, or they're not using the sending limits they've paid for. So there's a broader issue here, which is about activation, utilization, and retention. So that would be I would look at user experience for this, making a stronger impact in onboarding and delivering more value at an earlier stage to try and drive retention and utilization a bit higher there. But then and maybe review your accounts and the plans that people are signing up for. But then once that problem's solved, then I'd come back to looking at expansion. I think that's the best way around to do that. So let's just summarize. What is account expansion? So we're talking about revenue growth. It's MRR that's coming from your existing customer base. generally upselling, cross-selling, or add-ons. Add-ons could be one-off, so technically that might not be MRR, but ideally you could have recurring add-ons, such as if it's in Kunal's case, it might be your number of contacts that you can mail to, and you might add on a bundle of contacts put on a monthly plan. And the way we do this is having users upgrade their plans, offering them additional usage on certain features on their existing plan. So a classic case of this is something like Dropbox or Drive, where you can add storage to your plan and you pay for additional storage, or adding seats. Now, we're often thinking of seats as team members, but there's much broader use cases for seats. And then finally, premium features. Now, that's not exhaustive, but if you have some features that are premium, then that's another great opportunity to create some upgrades. So here's what we're going to be talking through. This is a worksheet that just helps you break all of the different areas down that you need to think about for expansion. So I'm going to talk through these one by one. And we're going to go through and fill this in. I'm going to ask you to help me fill these in, but I have an example that I'm going to use for this. So let's first think about. I want you to first think about value features in your product. So what are the most valuable features in your product that your customers, the reason that they buy your product? What's most valued and why do they buy? So what's the benefit that they would get for this? So can anybody share with me, who would like to share with me what you'd consider your most valuable features? You could list off 1 to 5 features. Kunal, do you want to share? Feel free to.
Sure.
Great.
So this AMP emails basically let your users fill out forms inside the email, respond to, fill out entire forms inside the email, respond to things right there, give NPS ratings right on the email, thumbs up or thumbs down emoji, whatever. So the value upfront with interactive emails is very high. And especially if you have a list that's heavy on AMP friendly users like, the ESP is Gmail or Yahoo, then you're going to get more interaction. And even if not, generally there's higher engagement with AMP style emails. So that I would say AMP, and since we pioneered building out around it, we have an advantage there. And a lot of our customers move to us from like MailChimp or SendGrid because we have AMP and we have a personal touch. I'm a customer success manager myself, and Prateek is on the call as well. So we give a personal touch. Everyone gets personalized service. We're good there. So I think that's our biggest advantage.
Great. Okay, so it sounds like you have some neat features that can go into emails that your customers can send out, like NPS and these ways of getting feedback or scores from recipients.
Yeah, we even have research students using our surveys feature to send out surveys to the participants over periods of years. For example, we have universities doing that. We have companies doing the NPS surveys. Users finishing their Shopify journeys inside the emails, for example, getting the back and giving them feedback. Like if they have a comment, they can submit it, and you'll get that as a solution. So
pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. So you've got some really good stuff there. And what's your model generally? Would you say you're doing a freemium model, free trials, demos? How do you acquire users?
So we have a 21-day free trial, and you get to explore the platform pretty much, and then you can either upgrade on your own or contact sales, and we can upgrade you. That's the process that we follow now.
Okay, neat. So just to get started on this worksheet, you're listing out your key valuable features here, the different things that you have in the emails, like the surveys. You might also have the amount, the email send or the contacts.
Yeah, they can even sign up for a webinar and add it to the calendar inside the email. Okay. We have calendar integrations. They can book meetings inside the email.
So you've got a whole bunch of stuff you can list out here in your valuable features. On this worksheet, I've used the example of an online summit event management platform. So typical features for them, this is taken from, it's hypothetical, but it's taken from an actual client that we worked with. So hosting live streams on their platform, giving users a website, their own custom URL domain with landing pages for a website to promote their virtual summit. They can sign up sponsors, they can have speaker presentations and attendees. So there's already quite a lot of great features, just like a lot of you guys have. There's some really valuable features here. And I like to think about the plans for this. So if you're on a free trial or freemium, you've really got the opportunity to land users in your product and try to get them activated or aware of these key features. So this is a CRM that we work with, that who basically, they have it's a CRM for churches, and they have a freemium package, a freemium plan. And on this plan, we land users on a dashboard that just gets them familiar with some of the key features in the product, but it also lets them know about the premium features right here. It's not too pushy, it's not too salesy, but it's raising awareness. We're trying to activate users and get them aware of things that they can upgrade to. So what we consider in this CRM as premium features are the talk. You can set up phone lines and things like workflows, so automated sequences and workflows. These are not just for emails, they have quite a lot of functionality in them. So just by surfacing them here on this freemium dashboard, we're already getting users, the very first experience, to think, at least consider expansion, right? Another place that we do this is in in-app pricing screens. This is a really powerful screen, not just to let users know what they're doing or what they're signed up for, but to upsell and cross-sell. So we use pricing screens a lot for this. One thing we do is let them know their usage, particularly if they're an active user. We can show them quite easily how they're filling their usage allocation for plans each month. And you get a good sense of as you're growing, you get a good sense of what customers use. So you can actually start fitting your plans to where the usage is common, so that these do fill up for different segments. We let you know billing dates, we let you know discounts, we let users upgrade. There are a lot of other things you can do here. Adding, you can promote your add-ons, you can promote your additional users and seats. So it's just one key thing is thinking about your model, your freemium or your free trial, or what plan your users are on. It's a great place to promote expansion. When users are on a free trial and it expires, this is one of the best times to raise their awareness, because their frame of mind, their mindset is in the realm of considering, okay, what plan do I need? And they're actually looking to find out more about your product. So once you get them onto this part of a flow, it's really good practice to make sure that you share the key value in your product, and also make it clear to understand how the upgrades and the plans work. So next thing we're going to look at is the offers. Okay, so how do you get from raising awareness to making an offer? Things we consider at this stage is, how do you leverage your features? Okay, so you've got these premium features, but what you don't just want to give them all away. You need to think about how to segment them into buckets of usage or groups of features, where you're segmenting pricing to deliver the maximum value, but you're also trying to make sure that you're getting rewarded, and it's there's a balance between the value that you're giving and the value that you're receiving. So that's one of the challenges in setting your pricing plans. So just coming back to this virtual summits platform, things that we can offer based on the valuable features that they have are, okay, so users can host live streams. So we can charge them for multiple streams if we know that they're running large conferences, virtual summits. Multiple streams is something we can promote. Premium website themes for their summit website. Multiple sponsorship tiers. Enable recordings of talks for this that we host on the platform, and then also adding different tiers for attendees, so you can have different packages. So once you start thinking about your features in this way, where the most value is derived for your users, it can be quite easy to start thinking about the different ways that you can offer upgrades for these. Can anyone share a typical upgrade that you have on one of your value features in your product right now? Has there anyone got anything that's working for them? Carl, looks like you want to share something.
I was talking to myself, yeah, but no, because we were obviously slightly different. We've got multiple plans. We have like a pay-as-you-go, unlimited, annual, and then we have like an enterprise plan. So obviously, when people come on, the same thing, we'll do a free trial, and then the idea is we want to try to keep them keep them on the unlimited plans and not, obviously sort of downgrading. But it's obviously a little bit different. We don't quite have sort of things. If you're on the plans, all kind of have the same sort of features, so to speak, except for like the pricing. If you're on pay as you go, obviously then you have to pay for each call. But obviously on the plans, it's unlimited, so you can make as many calls as you want. Sort of things. So those are like the two sort of main things. For us, it's just trying to obviously keep as many people on, obviously unlimited or the annual plans.
What does the unlimited relate to? In
terms of the amount of calls that you're allowed to request with other members on the site. So you basically, unlimited means you can just request as many calls as you like with as many members. Whereas if you're on pay as you go, you have to pay for each call that you request, or each one that's somebody agrees to, then you'd pay for each individual call.
Have you been able to explore setting limits between that aren't unlimited, so up to 10, up to 10 to 50?
It's funny you say that. I've talked about this with other members of the team. Something that sort of, have sort of broached like with our sort of like director and stuff, but at the moment, like they decided to stick with the plans. But this is something that we have been considering doing, like so that we're setting those limits, because then we've got a bit more reason for people to to stay, month by month, rather than just they could potentially just sort of exhaust it all in a shorter period of time. So it's something we've thought about, but not like sort of got onto more.
Yeah, it would be interesting if you can access the data on different types of users and how many calls they schedule. Then you'll be able to look at the range of that data.
Yeah.
And see where they naturally fall, if there are cohorts that fall into buckets that you can look at how you can split that up. Yeah. There's a good book that was written by, well, I'm pretty sure most people in SaaS know Intercom or either use it. Intercom have a book called On Starting Up, where they talk about setting your pricing. And one of the things that they talk about in an interesting way is that unlimited plans often give the most value to your biggest users. So if you had a company that comes and just sets up loads of calls, they're getting way more value from the platform and should be paying more, but they're not really, right? So there's a discrepancy on the amount of value that you are delivering and that you're receiving. And it's generally recommended not to provide unlimited plans for that reason. But if you wanted to check that out, they write about it in quite a smart way, and then they talk about how to think about that. So it could be an interesting reference for you. Okay. But I would love to hear how that goes if it's a trial, something like that.
Yeah.
It might really help you to drive expansion or increase MRR on those kind of plans. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else had any things to share on how you currently upgrade features. No, doesn't look like so at the moment. Okay, so the next thing we want to think about, okay, so, I was talking about this thing, the difference between you have contextual moments where you can present an offer to a user at the right moment in their workflow that makes complete sense, and then they're likely to upgrade or at least consider it, or in the very least, you've raised their awareness. They might try it in future. And the other way is interruption. So what we want to look at now is the moments at which you ask users to upgrade. I included a few UI examples here. So just before I do that, areas where you can promote an offer. Okay, so something like First Promoter, this is a platform that helps you build your affiliate network and manage them. So just right here on the main page, we've got a button to add promoters. And we can start relating their usage plan limit to this button. Okay, so that when they get to a point where they've used up all their promoters, we can ask them to add on more. Just simple little interactions in the product. With virtual summits that we're using as a kind of reference example for this worksheet, the same applies with speakers. So these are contextual ways to ask users to consider add-ons, expansion, and upgrades. This one's another place where this is a pricing screen for Theory Test Pro, which is a driving theory platform, helps people in the UK to pass the driving license. So we offer the add seats and instructors right here on the pricing page. They can see their plan allocation, when they can see the limits and add more. So we do that right here in that pricing screen. So, okay, now we get to the moments. Right, so the moments, when can you alert users about additional offers, cross-sell or upsell offers, using contextual interactions or interrupting them? So jumping back to our summit, one of the best places that we can do this when on virtual summit software is when a new customer is setting up their first summit. There's a lot of things to think about when they're setting up. What type of summit do you want? What kind of theme do you want? What kind of, they're setting up their sponsorship. So we've got a workflow that as they go through step by step, we're raising their awareness every step of the way to upgrades, add-ons. They might not need them, but we're letting them know, and it's in their mind. In the future, if they're successful with the platform, they probably will use them. If they don't in the first instance, they might after their 7th or 8th virtual summit. Who here has an upgrade moment where you're actively in your product promoting an upsell or cross-sell? Anyone currently have anything like that right now? Yeah, Dennis, do you want to talk to us?
We created our own internal system where we have the feature list, so it's kind of feature flag combined with the plans, and then we disable some specific links and display some lock icon to specific links in the menu of the features. And then when they click on that to try to access some, so we just show that the feature is there, but it's locked for you. When you click on that, there is a screen, hey, this feature is about this and that, maybe some kind of video, and then here's the button to upgrade to that feature. And then it goes to the billing page. So we use it everywhere across the app in some different sections. So it might be on the link or might be on the screen of the feature. So part of the feature is open. For example, we have discount codes that are like general discount codes, and then we have discount codes that expire by time or by product or by number of redemptions. And then, so we show that disabled thing that it's there, but it's not available for you. And awesome. So that's kind of thing we use.
Sounds like you've thought this through quite well and doing a good job of showing that in the product. I love this concept of having features that are locked, and you can unlock them so they can see what that feature is, and then you're using video to communicate the benefits of those features before they maybe
yes. So we have some kind of content for each feature, and sometimes there is video, sometimes there is no video. It depends on the feature.
Sounds really neat. I like that. Awesome. So yeah, it sounds like you've got some good upgrade moments there. Let's look at a few examples that we've got here. So in context, if you're using, and this would relate pretty well to Kunal's kind of product, say you're sending out an email to a list, and then you need to upgrade to, you don't have enough credits, email credits. This happens with me with, we use this, what's the email platform which you connect your CRM and it sends all your email? I forget. SendGrid. Okay, so we use SendGrid. So we get credits for that, so this kind of interaction is a really great one for that. It's contextual, it's in the flow, but it still interrupts the user at the point at which they need to upgrade. Sometimes that's an easy upsell. Other contextual ones, inviting students. For Theory Test Pro, they have driving instructors that run a course, they run a class. So if they need to onboard a new class of driving students, they'll invite them right here on this page. So the invite student button, we enable them to go through this moment at which they're setting up their next course schedule. AlphaLets is a property product for landlords to manage their portfolio of properties and their tenants. So another thing that we can charge for here is we limit the usage of the amount of properties that you can list or manage. So here, when they're adding a new property to their portfolio, that's another great time to present the upgrade. Cool. So collaboration and sharing. This is a really key kind of topic for expansion, really. It's looking for moments within your product where people can either collaborate to work on something, or they need to share something, or it's in their interest to share or promote. So key things for this is thinking about who are your user profiles. Most SaaS products have about 3 to 5 user profiles, if not more. And they all share and collaborate in different ways often. So we like to think about them all individually, and then think about how each of those might collaborate and share. And then think about how your plans relate to these different user profiles, right? So what I suggest you do if you're working on this worksheet is list out your plans here. So for Virtual Summit software, they have these 4 plans for running events. They have 4 different user profiles. So people that host summits, those are their actual customers, right? The summit hosts. They have speakers, they have sponsors, and they have attendees. There's so many ways when you start thinking about your user profiles, and you can also consider their audiences, because the audiences of your users could be considered a user profile because they might interact with your product in some way. Once you start thinking about all of these profiles, you can get really clear on the best ways for them to collaborate. And you can speak to them and ask them or observe how they're doing this. But on Virtual Summit software, hosts are working together to organize their events. It's a lot of work to run a summit. So what they do is they might have a summit host and then 2 event managers that are supporting them to help build it out. So already there's opportunity to add some team members. There's usage allocations for speakers, sponsors, and attendees. So speakers collaborate with the platform because they have to submit their talks and their topics. They have to submit their profiles, and that gets listed on the website. So there's a lot of sharing to do there. Also, it's a similar situation with sponsors, because sponsors have put together packages, and they also offer some freebies and some promotions on the platform too. So there's a lot of collaboration here. There are a lot of touch points between their users. They interact, and in this interaction, there's the opportunity to raise awareness and also to find the right moments to offer expansion or upgrades. Can anyone talk to me about their user profiles? Talk to me about your product and what user profiles you have, and we can just spend a minute talking about the kind of collaboration that occurs on your platform. Anyone want to share any information about your user profiles? Who's got more than, say, 2 user profiles? Yep, Dennis.
We have 3 main user profiles. It's based on industries. The first one is coaching businesses and training businesses. Another one, non-profit organizations, and then event organizers. There's big overlap between all of those, but they also need some specific features, each one of those user profiles. And they also price sensitivity is different. All of them, obviously, nonprofits, they tend to pay less, and we have specific plan that packages some nonprofit features, like basic ones. But if you're a bigger nonprofit, you have more features, but you have to pay more. For example, other companies, almost all of them are on higher price tiers. So nonprofits just on the one. So basically, we created like the cheapest one only for basic nonprofits, and then we have bigger tiers for other companies.
So do you have these 3 user profiles? Are they all do you have a primary profile that is your customer, or each of these 3, are they all different types of customers?
They're all different type of customers.
Okay, cool. So you have you have 3 different types of paying users. Do they collaborate between each other, or do they have any audiences that they collaborate with via your platform?
With their customers, since we have payment platforms, so basically they collaborate with their own customers through our checkout page. Right. That's how they collaborate.
Accepting payments. This is a really great way. Like everybody's, well, in SaaS, people are looking for viral components to their product, and having a central place like that, like a payment screen is such a great way to raise awareness. Everyone that goes through this gets exposure to your platform and rate awareness of what it is. It's like Calendly with the Calendly tag on their booking page, and everyone who books a meeting with Calendly, the attendees then become aware of it. So this is really great for user acquisition.
Another way to collaborate, so we work with a lot of agencies, and there's a way to invite different companies to the same account. So agencies can have a master account and then work with different companies from that account. That's another way.
Right. Okay. So yeah, like kind of like some products use workspaces so that you can have almost different companies within the same kind of account. Is that similar concept? Great. And that's another great way to charge add-ons for. So a lot of the tools we use have these workspaces where you charge, in your plan, you might have one workspace. Are you charging for additional workspaces?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you've got some really good examples of segmentation and collaboration in your platform too. So let's just look at a few other ways to that within the products that you can identify points for collaboration and then surface that in your UI, right? So there's this point at which Virtual Summit software has an attendee list. From this attendee list, you can send out emails to a wide group of people. Okay, so this is a massive touch point where you're able to expand your reach with an audience that gets exposure to this platform. It might not be a direct way to promote an upgrade, but associated to their plans would be how many attendees can you have in your event, based on the plan that you sign up to. Another great opportunity here is when a user has completed a task. This is a really good moment to capture their attention, because it feels good to have finished something with work. You want to use the UI to reward them and say, great, this task's done, but also promote any kind of sharing, collaboration, or usage that works for you. So just thinking about some of you, like Carl, obviously a match on the Finder platform is a really great moment. So I know you guys celebrate that. I remember from using it. The other thing is, to consider there is like, how do you use that moment? Is there a way to use that moment to promote some kind of usage or some additional feature that relates to that user journey moment? That's always part of the challenge. I've seen on I think dating apps do a lot around this. It's like, how can you like upsell or do something at that point, to improve that moment. The example here is when a user publishes their virtual summit. So now that they've published it, it's like, brilliant, your web page is live now. Now you can go and promote it and share it as much as possible. So that plays into the viral component too. There's a couple of examples that I like to use from things like Notion, some of these tools that we all use, just how easy sharing is. So sharing for collaboration, it's always there. It's so important for platforms to have this expansion element in them that Notion just keeps share right up there, in the platform the whole time. It's practically in the navigation. It's really easy to do. Still thinking about collaboration in these moments that you collaborate. Some products have quite a difficult integration to do. I imagine you might have some technical friction, Dennis, for setting things up. Kunal probably does, obviously, with setting up your email accounts. So for difficult integrations, on this particular screen, we're asking users to invite their developer. So their developer gets onboarded and their developer can then help them set up this integration. They put a script on the website and they have to actually insert some code and connect it. So that's another way to collaborate. Miro is a great example of this when you're sharing your work boards. It has really great functionality for sharing. There's a lot of different things, and it's so easy to share that multiple times I've accidentally upgraded and added people with editing rights and then paid for them. So I would try to avoid that because it's not a great experience, but it just goes to show, how easy they make it in their product, that they've removed all of the friction associated with that experience. Trello is good. I think the thing that's good about the Trello share functionality is that if somebody shares Trello who doesn't have the rights to the board, it still invites the person. And then it sends a message to the admin of the board to approve them. So what they're doing is removing friction from any sharing or interaction. There are obstacles to it, but they're removing that and facilitating the workflow that enables you to expand your account. So it's always a good idea to think about what flow you can design to remove friction. I noticed John left a comment here. I wonder if he's still with us, but John said, at the moment, user profiles are just affiliates, so really just one. He has one in StatsDrone. If we don't segment our affiliates themselves, we could add affiliate managers later, but unsure on that. Yeah, interesting, John. I know we use this example here of first promoters, so they actually do, and you can also think about it in a broader sense that affiliates for first promoter also are selling, they're reselling a product. So their customers do interface with First Promoter, even if they're not aware of it. So you could add to your plans, how many customers or commissions based on how many customers or sales, and that can be a form of upselling. I had a feeling you were going to expand on your comment a bit then, John. Did you have something to say? Yeah, they are more an enterprise-like software compared to us. Yeah, I'm aware. So you just have the affiliates who want access to the stats, right?
Yeah, they're just more like they come in. We don't really have too many more other types of people to work with. It's either you're an affiliate and you work in the space and our app services that. But yeah, we don't really have like you have a really good example that shows multiple types of personas. Maybe in the future we might have the ability for affiliate managers to be inside this ecosystem, but we don't know what that looks like. And we're kind of more worried. In affiliate marketing, everyone's thinking like this is spam. This is an opportunity to get bombarded by affiliate managers. So we might lock that out. And really the only people that should be inside it are the people using it as customers and maybe us as admins, that if we can interact with them, that's about it.
Yeah, I see. If you have one user type, there's a product that we worked with recently that was for salespeople, but then it segmented that user. They're all salespeople, but they segmented them in having, a sales manager, an account manager, and then a sales rep, and they were able to have different permissions or access. So if you do, any of your customers have teams that collaborate?
Yeah, actually, from that point of view, things will get segmented. Like they have account managers where one person, all they need to do is basically track payments. So they have a very specific role. We know that there's some owners where they just say, well, we want people to have specific access to certain data for whatever reason, but other things are kind of off limits. So we are working with those customers to say, you tell us what a seat persona looks like. And from the seat perspective, that will definitely get split apart.
Yeah, that's neat. So then you get your opportunity to start thinking about personalizing those experiences and how they fit into plans. Is there an allocation for the different types of team members? So yeah, interesting to think about evolving it that way. And then there's always a way to split it up, and sometimes permissions and access for different user roles can give you insights into what's valuable and how you can upsell for that use case. So finally, we want to look at expansion moments. Okay, so when is the moment? We've just looked at all these all these purposes and reasons why people collaborate and how they might collaborate on your platform. So let's think about when we can get them to expand. So it's a bit similar like to the upgrade moments that we were talking about earlier, but this one's just more tailored towards sharing and collaboration. So for our summits platform, our virtual summits platform, we're looking at, when they create their account and they set up their first summits, we're already letting them know about what kind of summits they're able to set up on different plans. So onboarding is a great time to do this. Then I've shown you a few examples of like the invite speakers flow, adding sponsors, and inviting or importing attendees. So all of these moments when you're building out your virtual summit, there are the opportunities to present the user with, hey, would you like to have 100 more attendees? You currently have 50 in your current plan. So that's how we think about doing this. Does anyone have a moment that makes sense in the flow of your product where your users are doing something, they're performing a task or doing something, and it makes sense to offer them an upgrade, whether that based on users or sharing or collaboration?
Hi, Peter.
Pratik.
Yeah, so I work for MailModo as a customer success manager here. So we do have a template editor to create AMP interactive emails and send out email campaigns. So just now you were talking about expansion moments. I realized that what we can do is we can probably tell the user to add more designers to collaborate on that template editor, and probably one or two free designers we can add, but probably for 3 to 4 designers, or maybe, I mean, it can be any number, we can give them some upgrade opportunity, right? So that is something I will take away from this particular point.
Fantastic. So that's designers who would collaborate on your team. So it's productivity reason, right? This reminds me of Canva, where we sometimes use Canva, and then you would add people to collaborate with you on Canva. So it might be a similar kind of use case.
Yes. And one question specifically, I will say, Peter, like,
yes.
In email marketing, generally, there's not much option of sharing your success metric. Like if you have sent a very good campaign, you've got a very good result, probably marketers are not very inclined towards sharing that with other marketers or on LinkedIn or maybe anywhere else. So any specific insight you can give where we can have that, I will say, shareable trophy or shareable moment? I'm just an insight.
Yeah. A shareable moment. So is it, were you suggesting that marketers using your platform don't want to share campaigns because it would give other marketers ideas of what's working for them?
Yeah, maybe in a way. I mean, that's my, I will say, hunch.
Yeah. Okay. So that's one thing you'd have to validate, whether that's actually true, because a lot of times we form ideas about user behavior or how users are thinking, and they're not necessarily true. They're just, ideas we formed.
Yeah.
What does can you just tell me briefly about your platform? What does what kind of campaigns users are sending out? What kind of marketing assets?
Yeah, basically, we send out emails which have interactive elements like forms, spin the wheel widgets, or maybe a webinar attending widget, which can do some conversions right inside the email without you having to moving to some different tab, or maybe in the mobile into a different application. So that decreases the conversion, and it helps to improve the ROI from any email.
Sure. So your users are sending out emails to a wide audience. Yes. Surely that in itself is the sharing moment, the exposure for your product.
Mm-hmm. Probably when they make a submission, we can show it as being powered by a particular provider, like being powered by us. That will be a kind of sharing moment.
Yeah, definitely powered by, you're promoting a link with your product. I mean, this is the original classic SaaS play of doing it. So this is how Hotmail grew massively in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of their emails had powered by Hotmail and people signed up for accounts. This is a really classic play that you could use for that. But yeah, other things you can do is have templates on your website or shared templates that you promote on social media, and you get known for having your template or assets library. And that's one of the ways that people often find Canva. So that's pretty useful too. Okay, so expansion moments. I'm just going to talk through this briefly. We have a few examples and we're going to wrap up. Right in the navigation, it's a classic place that's constantly overlooked with SaaS products, is that they're not providing enough exposure to great features or opportunities for expansion right in the navigation. This is a very subtle example here, but it's just got users and account settings. There are much more overt ways to do this. Things like having tags on your menu items that say premium or new, or highlighting things or showing usage right up here in your nav. So that's very often overlooked. And then if you go through to a user screen, look at this. Look at this call to action to upgrade. 13 users are outside of the team. It's almost making me feel uncomfortable, when I see this, because I'm thinking, oh gosh, there's 13. Maybe I should be upgrading them. So it's just a really powerful way to promote it. Here on team members screen, we've got the team members screen. We want people to invite new members, so we've got that button there for that. adding new tenants to properties, we can interrupt that flow, and we can, that's our moment for expansion. So that's pretty much it. That's the worksheet. That's how we think about it, all of the different opportunities for cross-selling and upselling in the product. Thanks everyone for listening and joining us. I wondered if there are any questions, if anyone has any question or a particular use case you want to talk through before we wrap up. Everyone good?
Maybe a quick question.
Sure.
I don't think you've got a really good answer, but that whole concept of virality was really interesting. I mean, there's perfect examples where it makes sense, like Dropbox. You share a link, you're now invited to someone else's Dropbox. I think in our case, it might be very difficult to do, but I mean, I'm asking for the impossible. How could you apply that to everyone here's situation? It seems like you need to have the perfect product where it makes sense, like, you know, Calendly. Of course, that makes sense. You know, it's someone who's never heard Calendly gets a link. So it's having that shareability. I think not everyone applies, but maybe there's a way of being mindful to find a way through it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key, because these examples that are the classic examples in SaaS that are really great examples, they're brilliant to use for that reason, but they often don't get there from the beginning. You know what I mean? They've gone on a big, long journey to get to that point where it makes sense when you see it. But there was a big journey before Calendly where I've heard an interview with the founder where, in order to get to that product, he had many iterations and a few failures, which is common in most, right? So the part of the challenge is thinking about your specific product and how over time it will get to the point where there are these obvious opportunities and the workflows have been built within your product. And that's it. That's an iterative process. It does take time, but then they become apparent. I know you're big on data visualization at the moment. So maybe it could be things about access to different, you know, premium data visualization charts or insights, you know, premium insights. These things can, over time, occur in your product, and then in retrospect, they look straightforward and simple. But for a lot of SaaS companies, they haven't been on the journey to get there, and I think that's a key thing to remember. Yeah, each product is unique, and each use case is unique. So that's part of the enjoyable part of the journey is that kind of innovative work in kind of getting to these flows and seeing what works best for you. Okay, if that's it, then just say thanks to everyone. You know, I really appreciate everyone joining. It's been great to hear a bit about your products too. I really hope this has been valuable. If you have any thoughts, insight, or feedback for me, please feel free to write in. You know, you can always book this session if you do want some one-to-one time. And if you ever want to write to me, just directly ask me anything or give us some feedback, peter@useractive.io. So brilliant. Thanks everybody. And we do one of these a month. So we'll keep you all informed on the next one. We're always looking at different workflows within products, different user flows to help you improve your product, to get more users and grow. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining.